black now. We've got Hopeless Nightmare, single black mana for an enchantment, back to the commons, of course. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. And when Hopeless Nightmare goes to the graveyard, you scry 2. And just like that white enchantment, it's got the 2 and a white, 2 and a black, sack Hopeless Nightmare, you get that scry 2.
Yeah, so this spots you the free bargainable material, but doesn't have the celebration and doesn't put any power and toughness into play. So it's only a 2-card cycle, but I still am pretty interested in this card.
Yeah, definitely. Just the 1-for-1, I discard, well, I mean, I'm using a card, you discard, we're parity of resources, and then of course this is, you're dinging them a little bit, you get a scry at some point. Yeah, there's gonna be a staple card for the bargain decks, right? Like, you're just gonna want multiple copies of this a lot of the time if you've got enough bargain cards.
Yeah, the 2 life loss is very important to this as
definitely.
well.
Yeah, they just pushed
early on. The card's going to be more important, and later on, that life loss is going to feel brutal.
Yeah, definitely. C plus.
Yeah, I don't think I'm cutting any of these, but yeah, I'm not taking it as a pull.
What's up next?
Next, we have Not Dead After All. What a surprise! Single black for an instant until end of turn. Target creature you control, when it dies, comes back into play tapped and with a Wicked Roll token on it.
Yeah, the biggest addition to Modern for this set. An upgrade to the Scam player deck.
Evoke.
Sorry, Rakdos Evoke. My mistake. The Rakdos Evoke, yeah. Yeah, these effects are generally good, right? The single mana, I come back from the graveyard, combat trick, I get a little bit bigger. The thing that I think might be slightly worse about this in the context of this set is a lot of the enter the battlefield effect equity is on adventure cards. So I think there are slightly fewer enter the battlefield effects you would normally see. I still think it's going to be pretty good, though.
Yeah, and you don't, like, if your creature has a roll, you're not growing. You still get a new roll, but you're not growing the creature.
Yeah.
This does trigger celebration, although I can't really picture too many scenarios where that's going to be relevant.
Yeah, unless they
usually it'll be like after combat's resolved.
Yeah, because a lot of celebration triggers are combat triggers. Like they buff your creature in combat. So I'm gonna give a C plus to Not Dead After. Actually, maybe just a C. That's just a C, I think, because bumping it down slowly for that enter the battlefield thing I mentioned. But these are always solid combat trick.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't going to go as high as C plus. I'm going to go C minus.
Okay, fair enough. Next up, we got Rat Out. Single black mana, instant. Up to 1 target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, and you make a 1/1 rat token that can't block.
Yeah, so I did get a chance to catch Jason and Julian's grades because they did their set review on Saturday. And they were pretty low on this, but as you can probably expect, I've talked you up on this ability maybe already a little bit. I kind of like it.
Oh yeah, I like this card too. So it's there's a few comparisons you can make. One is Whispers of the Dross from Phyrexia, and that card was not very good. But I think the more apt comparison is Fungal Infection from Dominaria, which made a 1/1 that could block, so you could actually take out 2/2s on attack. That's a big difference, but still just making the material, I think, is pretty good. So I'm reasonably high on this card. I think every black deck is going to be totally fine playing the first copy of it.
Yeah, I was going to give it like a C.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to go to. You can't play too many because this effect does have diminishing returns, but the first copy is going to be good.
Yeah, and not being able to block is huge, but there's a lot of ways to use rats.
We've got Warehouse Tabby up next. Single black mana for a 1/1. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, make a rat token, and the Tabby can give itself Death Touch for 1 and a black.
Yeah, so we're on the 4th black common, and they still all have one.
Yeah.
Man, so there's a lot of cheap plays in this set.
Yeah, which is great. I love sets with a bunch of good, relevant 1-drops.
Right. This one's interesting. You really do need to trigger it for it to be worthwhile, because you usually get spotted that Death Touch for free on a Typhoid Rats or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So it's a synergy card. I don't think. Well, it's funny I say that. Maybe it's not a synergy card because I think by synergy card I'm thinking it doesn't go in every black deck, but maybe it just does. Like maybe just with enough rolls running around, you don't need to be black white. Although it's gonna be best there.
Yeah, like it's a one drop. It does stuff. It's decent. Like early on turn 1, you're more likely to trigger it. On turn 10, you're more likely to just have the death touch up for free. So
Yeah,
I'm interested in this card, but
I'm interested. Yeah.
I think I'm still going to give it a C.
Yeah, that's what I would give it to. There was a lot of when the card first got previewed, I saw a lot of people going wild about this. Like it's top common level excitement. I don't think it's that because it's just not gonna give you. It's not like a Rat Factory, right? You're gonna get one or two. Two is I think being generous sometimes. And sure, yeah, you
Yeah,
trade this off at some point, but it's just a solid card. I think I would just give it a C. You're gonna yeah. You said C as well, right?
I did. Yes.
Awesome. All right, next up, what do we have?
Next, we have Barrow Naughty. 1 and a black for a 1/3 flying fairy. It has lifelink as long as you control another fairy. And for 2 and a black, you can give it +1/+0 until end of turn.
Not super sold on this one. Like, if you have a fairy, it's a 3 mana 1/3 lifelink flyer, which is okay. If you have a fairy, which you might not, of course. And the pump ability, eh.
So, did you dislike it, or are you just not that thrilled about it?
Yeah, I'm just not that thrilled. Sorry, I should specify. I would give this a C minus. I think that's just to put a grade on it. But you might be a little higher on it.
Like a C minus in blue black?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you've got 5, 6, 7 fairies, sometimes it has lifelink, sometimes it doesn't. Like if you just don't have a fairy, I think this card is much worse. Right? That because it's fairly binary and how much I like the card. Like if this just doesn't have lifelink, I'm totally out on it. And then when it does have lifelink, yeah, it's nice, but it's not. Again, accounting for the times you just don't. You're not gonna have.
I think I'd give it a C. Assuming it's blue black.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the thing is in your blue black decks, I just don't think you're even gonna have that many fairies, right? I think that might be part of the problem. Where yeah, it's the deck for it, but you're just not going to have a density of the fairies that often. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm too low on it. Lifelink is good.
You'll have, what, like 5 or 6 other fairies, probably?
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's... I'd play that as a C, I think.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. We got one that is definitely not a C. Candy Grapple. 1 and a black for an instant. Bargain. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, but if it was bargained, -5/-5.
There's a lot of good flavor texts in this set.
Yeah, the for those just listening, the art is a candy apple biting this guy's arm. It's like this like ravenous teeth wielding like stone. What is it like? It's like sticks. Yeah, stick wielding biting arm apple, and the flavor text is, "Don't you mean poisonous? There's no such thing as a venomous." Ah, that's great.
Also, the guy's hand is huge.
Yeah, what the heck is with that?
Like, that is a massive hand.
Yeah, weird perspective there. Candy Grapple as a card. As a Magic the Gathering card, we will put in our limited decks. I would give this a B+.
A B+. Ooh, I was going to go to B.
Yeah.
I don't know about that plus. I'm going to stick with my B.
Okay. I just think it's just going to kill like everything early and everything late. Mostly everything late.
Yeah, it's a last gasp with upside, and last gasp is already a card that you'd first pick a lot of the time. So yeah.
Right. So I guess that's kind of what I want to give it the boost to, because the reason I'd like to give it a boost is because the last time we saw this kind of effect, Final Flourish, which is -2 as without it being kicked, quote unquote, and 3 just kills so much more stuff than 2, right? So yeah, we're both in the same ballpark. Very good card.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Minstrosity. 1 and a black for a 3/1 horror. When it dies, you make a food token.
Yeah, despite the 1 toughness, I like this thing.
Yeah, it's good. The trades, you get something out of it. Trades up. Cool. I think it's just a C.
I was going to go C+. I don't think I'm cutting these.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think that I was slightly thrown off by die trigger instead of ETB trigger. But no, I think you're right. It's going to be good enough because it's one of those things where you just think how it plays out. 2 mana 3/1. Your opponent can't ignore this, right? Your opponent would like to ignore it, or sorry, block it, and they don't really want to do that either. So yeah, I'm in for that.
Yeah, like it always dies, and you don't usually, like, you don't want to use your food until late anyways. The only time it's going to be a downside is when you're just like dead to a flyer and you top deck this and it doesn't save you.
Yeah. Cool. And it is cool. By the way, one of the things we haven't noticed on our very strategic, limited focus podcast here is they did a cool thing, I think, for beginner drafters, where all of the archetypes have a fairy tale to go along with them. You know, for example, red green is low red riding hood, and what you can do as a drafter, like all these like food cards, or you mentioned whatever Sweet Tooth. Yeah, Sweet Tooth was. By the way, chat says Sweet Tooth is a village. You just draft all the cards that have these like candy monstrosities on it, and you've got a food deck, right? So that's kind of a cool little handhold that I thought was kind of cute. What's up next?
Next is Sugar Rush. 1 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn, and draw a card.
Okay, so Blade Brand, like 2 mana, Gisling Death Touch, draw a card, is a card we've seen before, and it's been, filled or minus. This is a little bit different because it can go on an unblocked creature and actually deal damage. It's not going to kill the thing.
But not necessarily better.
Yes, different, not better. It's not always going to kill the thing you want it to kill, especially in a set with, some very big adventure creatures. I think it's going to approximate in creature combat, it's going to approximate Blade Brand enough, plus have that upside, that I think it moves from like a C- to a C.
I was going to be talked up from a D+ to a C-.
But, yeah, I guess a few grades in a row where I'm like, if we're going by our definitions of, this is rarely getting cut, I think you're probably right. Let's go C-.
Yeah, like the 30 to 40% of decks playing this is, I think, already a little generous.
Yeah, that's fair. We've got Wicked Visitor up next. 1 and a black for a 2/2. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life.
I am not interested in this.
Yeah, D- even. Like, this is so vanilla. Like that is like not a payoff. It's a payoff, but it's really not an exciting one. Yeah, I just don't think you want this
let's
card.
go D-.
Yeah.
I like it.
Conceited Witch. 2 and a black for a 2/3 menace, but it's got an adventure. Price of Beauty. Single black mana sorcery. Create a Wicked roll. Attach it to target creature you control.
Yeah, and very strangely, the reminder text isn't for what a Wicked roll is, but Wicked roll is the one that gives +1/+1, and when it when it dies, or when the Wicked roll leaves play, lose 1 life.
I think it's when it dies. Yeah.
Okay. So this is better than the 3/3 for 4 vanilla white one for sure.
Yeah, this is quite a bit better. But a 2/3 menace creature is nice. They play well in multiples too, right? Just like play this on 3, play your additional copy on the adventure, and then this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2/3 menace for 3 is a way better than a 3/3 for 4.
Yeah, super solid. I just give this a C. C+ even maybe. What do you think? But yeah, I think this is not a card you're going to cut very often.
I'll stick with C. You can have your C+ all to yourself.
Yeah, geez, thank you. I think that the fact that it's a single black mana thing that makes an enchantment is something that those kind of decks are really going to want. What's next?
Next we have Feed the Cauldron. 2 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature with mana value 3 or less. If it's your turn, create a food token.
Okay. That's kind of nice. It's one of these Vanquish the Weak style effects, but a little bit of upside if you cast it on at the sorcery speed effectively. Well, in combat you can even get the food on your turn too. Yeah, I like this. I think this one I feel like pretty confident as a, well, I was gonna say pretty confident as a C+, but then again, Vanquish the Weak in Mom ended up being like medium filler.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna still put this at a C.
Okay, yeah, C for Feed the Cauldron. I like that too.
Okay.
What's up next?
Next we have Rowan's Grim Search. 2 and a black for an instant. Draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. And then if this spell was bargained, look at the top 4 cards of your library, then put up to 2 of them back on top of your library in any order, and the rest into your graveyard. And I read those in that order for simplicity, but actually the order of these matters. So the bargain is first, and then the draw 2 cards and lose 2 life.
Yeah, so you use instant speed, draw 2, lose 2. Bargaining, get some selection. You're like, I don't think this is a super appealing card either way.
No, losing. If this didn't have lose 2 life, I'd be all about it.
Yes.
But lose 2 life is a major downside.
Yeah, I mean, if this didn't lose 2 life, it would just be the better than the instant speed divination, right? Yeah.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm gonna give this like a D+. There's just better ways to spend your mana, get some card advantage in the set, I think, without losing 2 life. And that is like, life total is a resource, but you're using your resource on this card, which is, it's a cost. So
D+.
Yeah, you like it a little higher?
I'll just go C-, just to we'll avoid controversy.
Yeah, sounds good. Sweet Tooth Witch is next. 2 and a black for a 3/2. Human Warlock. ETBs make a food. 2 mana, sack a food. Target player loses 2 life. So throw the food at them instead of gaining some life.
Yeah, and this even without the sacrifice of food ability, it's pretty good card.
Yeah, just 3 mana, 3/2 make a food. Like that alone would not be a terrible card.
Yeah, it's similar to Monstrosity. Like I think you're playing most of these and not cutting a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. Let's
And
give a
plus?
C plus the Sweet Tooth Witch.
All right.
What's up next?
Next, we have Voracious Vermin, 2 and a black for a 2/1 rat. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 black rat token that can't block. And whenever another creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Voracious Vermin.
Okay, so we're actually going to see 1 in black here and 1 in red for these rat token makers. That, normally I'd be all about a creature, a cheap creature, 3 or 4 mana creature that is a decent body and comes with a friend. Not that I'm not about this. It's just it's a lot worse than these kind of make 2 things usually are, because one of them can't block. The big thing you like about those kind of cards, they stabilize you very well. But not to say this card does not have merit, and I still think it's quite good.
Yeah, making 2 different sized blockers often just makes your opponent's attacks impossible. So the fact that it can't block, we can't understate enough how important that is.
Yeah.
But I think this card's decent.
Yeah.
Like 2 bodies for 3 mana, and it has a chance to be bigger. Like if it grows once, you're pretty happy.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would go D- or C, somewhere around there on this.
I was gonna give it a C. I think you play this card more often than you cut it.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll join you on a C then.
Okay, cool. Next up, we've got Ariet's Whisper. This is 3 and a black for a sorcery. Target opponent discards 2 cards, and you make a Wicked Roll token attached to a creature you control.
What do you think of it? Let's start with you. What do you think?
Yeah, this is kind of funny. Like it's Torment a Golem-esque, right? It's like, oh, you get some stats, and you get to not quite see their hand, but you get to discard 2 cards. I believe I will draft this card higher than most people at the beginning of the format, and it'll end up being just an okay filler by the end of the format.
So,
like C,
you want to give it like a...
I was gonna say like D plus, C minus in that area. You sound like you
I
have some...
thought you might go higher. I've seen some people being pretty interested in this thing, and
yeah.
I wondered if we might finally have a disagreement. But I'm actually pretty much with you. I'm not that high on this thing.
Yeah, the thing is that I actually think discard 2 at, like, of your opponent's choice is quite a bit worse than take the best card from their hand, right? Like that's
Yes.
I think a lot of people might see those as like roughly equivalent. I don't think that's true, and you don't get to see their hand. That was a big part of Torment of Golem, right? Actually getting to see that information. So yeah, I am actually gonna go D plus here. I think that the Wicked Roll you make, the Wicked Roll token is not enough upside to say, like, I mean, this is, I didn't even say this out loud, but it's a 4 mana Mind Rot, not even a 3 mana Mind Rot. So yeah, I'm actually pretty out on this. I'm just gonna give it a D.
Okay. Oh, D. Okay. I wrote D plus for myself. So.
Yeah, I could come up on it. I could see it. What's next?
Next is Fell Horseman, 3 and a black for a 3/3. That when it dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, and it has an adventure, 1 and a black sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Okay, so little bit clunky on both sides.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, I 6 mana Gravedigger is pretty bad.
Yeah, in the
But
installment
when you
plan...
phrase it as like a 2 mana Raise Dead that draws you a card, it sounds better.
By a little bit. I think this is one of the lesser adventures we've seen, most likely. I like how... I mean, I get why they did it, but I just like how it's the creature side has a downside. Like your 4 mana 3/3 creature has a downside, It's so they can't loop copies of each other. I'm going to give this a C minus. I think you're going to play it sometimes, but it's not going to be just a card it's a card you're going to cut more often than you play, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on C minus.
Cool. Stingblade Assassin is next. 3 and a black for a 3/1. 4 mana for a 3/1 in a world of pinging. Okay, so we've got Flash Flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn.
And it's a fairy, though.
And it's a fairy, yes. Sorry, thank you. I didn't mention that. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah, so Manticore wasn't great.
That was a 2-1 though.
That was a 2-1. This is a 3-1, and I also think there's a lot. It works both with the ping effect and with all of your
It's a good
rats,
point.
right? Like just being able to send a rat in and kill something is pretty nice.
Yeah, I think I can stomach this having 1 toughness and dying for 1 mana sometimes if, it's got an enter the battlefield effect, right? And it's not the most flexible or ubiquitously good enter the battlefield effect. This effect can kind of be a little bit clunky sometimes. You definitely want to be able to be in a position where you're affecting the board early. Like, I think this is not a fairy card, actually, very much, right? This is more like a white-black card or something. Not that you can't play in your fairy deck, but those fairy decks are going to want to be attacking with their fairies, not blocking with them, basically. So, I don't know. I'm not that high on this card. I think I would just start it as a D+.
Yeah, D plus sounds reasonable.
Yeah, cool.
I'll let you go to C minus. I'm just gonna go a little bit higher.
Okay. Scream Puff. I love this. Yeah, the art, yeah, so good in this set. 5 mana, 4 and a black for a 4/5 Death Touch. When it deals combat damage to a player, you make a food token.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yes, it's very, very large. Hard to block, hard to attack past.
Yeah, this is usually gonna get you a 2-for-1. Because they can't, effectively double block it and survive, and then they don't really want to let it through either. And it's pretty good on defense, so I don't really mind this thing.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I also don't love it. Like, I think this is probably C-, again, to make that distinction of I cut it more often than I play it, but I will play it sometimes.
Okay, I'm going to go C on this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the art is absolutely deranged. It looks like a taro cream puff. That's what it is. That's what the purple has to be. Next up, we've got Shatter the Oath. 3 black for a sorcery. Destroy target creature or enchantment. Then you make a Wicked Roll token. Attach that to a creature you control.
Yeah, this is really weird because there's a red card like this that I really like, and then I saw this one, and I'm like, why don't I like this more?
I think this was probably 4 mana at some point. If I'm to get a read on this, because we don't have a big... this is our, like, kill anything common black removal spell. Usually those are like instant speed 4 mana. Like they give that to us these days with some upside. This is sorcery speed. Has the upside of killing an enchantment maybe, but
that's barely a thing.
It's exactly it's barely a thing. That's what I'm saying. The designer, putting my designer hat on, I want to assume that it's better than it looks, but I'm gonna give it like a C- to start with.
Yeah, that's where I was going as well.
Yeah. It's maybe partially the fact that black's other removal spell is so good. That might be part of it. Uncommons now. Breezing along here. Ego Drain. First one here. Single black mana sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an on-land card from it. That player discards that card. If you don't control a fairy, you exile a card from your hand.
So F?
Yeah, I think so. Because the problem with this is, obviously you're not playing without fairies. And if you, Thoughtseize is best in the early turns, and sometimes you just won't draw this in the early turns, and you won't have a fairy sometimes. So yeah, there's just too many things that can go wrong. F. What's next?
Next is Fairy Dream Thief. Single black for a 1/1 flying fairy. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 1, and pay 2 and a black and exile it from your graveyard to draw a card and lose a life.
Okay, this is just a good card, I think. I don't think you need to play this in a fairy deck. It's just 1 mana, 1/1, surveil 1, solid, and then it's just, it's gonna draw your card at some point.
Yeah, this card's it's really good.
C+. I don't think you're ever gonna cut this.
You don't want to give it a B-?
A little bit of a higher? Yeah, sure, no, I'll join you. That's totally fine. I like B-. Fairy Fencing. Sorry.
It fairies rolls so well, and
that's true. Yeah. And that's one thing that is we noted before with the blue 1 mana flyer. All these evasive, and we'll see something in green that kind of has this too. Be on the lookout for the strategy of play a 1-drop suited up. I think that's going to be a play pattern that you see pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Fairy Fencing is up next. X and a black instant. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. That creature gets an additional -3/-3 until end of turn if you control a fairy as you cast the spell.
Yeah, as you cast is nice, so they can't respond with a removal spell, so they've kind of fixed a lot of those blowout potentials. You do, I think, need to have some fairies to play this, because Heat Ray type cards are even though this is better than Heat Rays, not usually great.
Yeah, it's those like a X and a X and a mana symbol, negative X or X damage. Those are like C minus level cards. Really great if you do have that fairy, like just fantastic card. Like if you have a fairy deck, this is a B plus, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But even with the fairy deck, we talked about having 5, 6, maybe 7 fairies.
Yeah.
So I give it like a build around B or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's about right. It's a really powerful card, but I don't think you're both in game and in the draft not going to get to the ceiling of it every single time.
Yeah.
We got another saga up next, the Witch's Vanity. This is 1 and a black for a saga. Like I said, 3 chapters. Chapter 1, destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. Chapter 2, you make a food token. Chapter 3, create a Wicked Roll token attached to a creature you control.
Yeah, so I think each color has one uncommon saga. And this is maybe my favorite one.
Yeah, this card's really strong.
I really like this. And it's another card that helps you if you're on the draw.
Yes, definitely. Just, they play it too, you play it too, and it's just like, bam. You really feel behind if you're that person who got their 2-drop killed, and then your opponent makes a food, and then they also make a Wicked Roll token. This card's great.
I want to give this a B.
Yeah, I was just going to go B for Witch's Vanity too. Sweet.
Okay.
Let's do that. All right, next one up here. Here's one of the, I think, better bargain cards. What do we have?
Back for seconds. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. If this spell was bargained, you may put one of those cards with mana value 4 or less onto the battlefield instead of in your hand.
That's a pretty nice effect. You're just getting to reanimate something and get something back in the yard.
Yeah, that bargain text is pretty nice because it kind of gives you the option to... Normally with cards like this, they're just draw spells or raise deads. You fall behind on tempo, and that's what hurts you. And so this kind of gives you the option of making sure that you re-catch up on tempo.
Yeah, chat is asking, can you reanimate the thing that you bargained away? Because bargaining is a cost. And I don't think so. I think you have to...
No, you need to announce targets before you pay costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, this was just buy back 2 things from the graveyard. Usually those are like C minus level cards. With this upside here, I think it just bumps it to either a solid C or a C plus, maybe even higher.
I think I'm happy putting this as a C plus.
Yeah, let's do C plus. I like that. I think you're not going to cut this card, so that's the rider. Next up, we got Lord Skitter's Butcher. So this is 2 and a black for a 2/3 rat peasant. When it ETBs, you choose one. You make a rat token that can't block. You can sacrifice a creature, and if you do, scry 2, draw a card, or creatures you control gain menace until end of turn.
Yeah, it's weird that the butcher cooking in the kitchen doesn't make any food.
Right,
but,
yeah.
that's okay.
It's okay to have a flavor fail once in a while.
That's okay. I still like this card. I think this card's great.
So modal, all the modes I can imagine using, right? On turn 3, you're just going to be doing the first one. On turn, 4, 5, 6, as the game's gone on, maybe there's something irrelevant or it's been locked down somehow, you sack it. Then late in the game, it's actually a perfect progression of the first mode you use early, the second move you use in the middle of the game, and the third mode you use at the end of the game, right? So yeah, it's just good, and it's a quadrant theory crusher, right? It's just fantastic all the time. So none of the effects are over the top, but the flexibility on this, sometimes we talk about flexibility and it's modal, but neither of the modes are good. All the modes on this are good. So I'm a fan of this card.
I was gonna give it a B.
Yep, I like B for Lord Skitter's Butcher.
Okay.
What's up next?
Next, we have Ashiok's Reaper, 3 and a black for a 3/3. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card.
So it's the 4 mana 3/3 hope to untap. It's just full of these, and I don't think this one is great.
Yeah, isn't this just a blue card in disguise?
Yeah, exactly, right? D for Ashiok's Reaper, just too small.
Yeah, I think it's just a D. Yeah,
I agree with that. Oh, that's funny. The nickname for that last card apparently is Ratatouille. That's pretty good. It's got a chef's hat on, and it's a rat and a 2/3. And it is the Disney movie Ratatouille. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
yes.
next up we got Dream Spoilers. This is 3 and a black for a 2/2 flyer. Fairy. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, up to one target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. And if you're reading this card and you're like, wow, this seems like a card that was printed 20 years ago, you would be right, because this is a functional reprint of a card that was printed in Lorwyn, which wasn't quite 20 years ago, but card was good then. I think probably a little bit too small now.
Yeah, Dream Spoiler Witches was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, it was very strong. But that's,
oh man, are you telling me this card's bad now, Alex?
So,
you're gonna ruin my day.
One thing is, I do think this is a little bit better than all the other bad 4 mana, or not bad, but doesn't block the turn it comes down. You hope to untap it, the kind of cards, because I do think the payoff for this is quite substantial, right? Just like a lot of action makes combat a nightmare. I don't know how much you're gonna feel the effects of. Well, I do know your opponent shocks this 1 mana red, run red mana kill this. You're gonna feel really, really bad.
Yeah. You almost have to like hold it till turn 5 and play it with like a rat out on their turn, but they can still shock it on your turn and it doesn't do anything. So I have written down a D+ with a big sigh.
Yeah, I know that's exactly what I would do too. Because this is from this is also in like Modern Masters. So I played a little bit of Lorwyn. I played a little bit of Lorwyn, but mostly in Modern Masters, and this card was still even good then. But yeah, 2023, not kind to these kind of cards. All right, what do we have next?
So you're joining me on a D+?
Yeah, I'll join you on D+.
Okay. Next we have Taken by Nightmares. 2 black for an instant. Exile target creature. If you control an enchantment, scry 2.
Okay, so yeah, just your solid instant speed black removal spell. You're gonna scry 2 is a really nice upside. Yeah, this is good.
This is like another B?
Yeah, I'll just give this a B. B for Taken by Nightmares.
Yep, okay.
Sweet. High Fae Negotiator. 3 black for a 3/5 fairy warlock. It's got bargain. It's got flying. So 5 mana 3/5 flying. That's pretty beefy. If it was bargained, you drain your opponent for 3. You lose 3, or they lose 3. You gain 3. That's nice. This is a nice one.
Yeah, this is another one where bargain is like, okay, I'm gonna try and get this to happen.
Yeah, and then even if you don't, 3/5 flyer for 5. That's pretty good too.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, you hated the 4/4 flyer for the 4/4 flyer for 5. So
that's true, but 5 toughness is like I would rather a 3/5 flyer than a 4/4 flyer. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But yeah, just
is this another like B?
Yeah,
like...
I would give this a B. If you haven't played with these kind of effects before, just like creatures that drain you for like 3s. A lot of times they drain for 2. 3 is a lot. It plays out a lot better than you might expect. Just that swing in life is huge.
Yeah.
And then I think our last black uncommon here, Twisted Sewer Witch. 3 black, 5 mana for a 4/5 human warlock. When it ETBs, you create a rat token. Then for each rat token you control, you create a Wicked Roll token attached to that rat. Ooh, okay. So you're getting 3/4 and 2/2 for 5 mana. Half of that can't block, but then it could also bring a bunch of other rolls along with it.
Yeah, and like it's turning those rats into like 3 damage each, kind of, right? Because they hit for 2 and then they die into another one.
This card seems really good to me. Like this is actually...
I don't even think it's that bad if you don't have any rats out.
No, I think this is a 5-drop that I'm very happy to play. I kind of want to go B+ on this one.
Well, how often do you think you're going to have another rat sitting around? I guess you're not going to be trading with them a lot of times, so they will kind of just
exactly.
sit there.
I think pretty often you'll have at least one more rat if you're a heavy block.
All right. I will say just another B. I'll let you be higher on that.
Let me have that plus in there. And that brings us to the end of black. Thoughts on black quickly before we move on?
So even just in the uncommons, you can just see there's a whole chain of Bs, right? And we just didn't get that with white or blue. And then good removal spells, some pretty good commons, a bunch of good 3-drops, a bunch of 1-drops. It just seems better rounded than white and blue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that if the all too early impressions are that I believe what you said basically about black being better than blue and white as we started this set review after seeing talking through this with you. Let's move on to red.
Yeah, and like
the
black white. Sorry, well, like black white seems well supported. Black blue seems like it enjoys the black cards more than the blue cards.
Yeah,
and black green and black red. Like all 4 black pairs seem like they're going to be pretty reasonable.
Yes, I agree with that.